Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, a show in which we discuss movies, both old and new. Today we have a new movie that just dropped in the theaters this past weekend. And Nathan, take it away. What is this movie titled and who directed it?
It's Weapons, directed by Zach Cregger.
Formerly of The Whitest Kids You Know.
Yep, sketch comedy
game.
group. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm Kyle, here to tell you about an amazing new product, the Jizzle. Now, I know what you're saying. Kyle, I already got a cum rag at home, but the Jizzle is not your ordinary cum rag. It's designed using space-age technology, materials actually used on the space shuttle available to you to clean up your cum.
And what is this movie about?
Yes, well, Weapons has a pretty simple kind of premise. One night in a small Pennsylvania town, 17 kids from one classroom all get up at 2:17 in the morning. They run out of their homes into the dark, and they do not return. And the movie picks up there, and we follow an all-star cast, Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, Benedict Wong, to name a few, as people in this town as they try to come to terms with what happened and to try to solve this mystery of these missing kids. And that's where Weapons starts.
This has been getting plenty of buzz.
A lot of buzz.
Word of mouth.
People love it. Jordan Peele fired his managers because they could not acquire this movie, which is very funny.
And Nathan, does it live up to the hype? Does it live up to the expectations? What were your thoughts on this film?
I can confidently say that for me, this movie lived up to the hype. I really loved Weapons, seen it twice already, and I had a fantastic time during both viewings. I think Zach Cregger is already a director that's just, if his name is attached to something, I'm getting a ticket. I'm in my seat. He's a very confident director. He really knows how to toe that line between over-the-top silly and incredibly tense and scary. This was a great theater-going experience. Even I had some pretty solid crowds, and just all around, Weapons is a really good time. Ajay, what are your thoughts?
This was the best Stephen King adaptation that wasn't written by Stephen King.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that.
It's a great film. I loved it. Great performances. Overall, a great movie-going experience. This is definitely the best experience I had while watching it in a theater. Because yes, while it is a horror film, yes, there are moments where there are suspense and there are thrills and chills and the things that are synonymous with horror films. Towards the end, there's a lot of humor.
Oh, yeah.
And it's often very needed with a film that's heavy on this topic. But it was an amazing watch, especially in that third act, because I felt like by that third act, it's very similar to The Substance, in which by that third act, craziness ensues, and you're just left there watching it in awe, in shock, but it's hilarious, and I feel like the execution of this film was amazing. We mentioned the acting. You mentioned the acting. Mm-hmm. Julia Garner, I thought, gave an amazing performance.
She's having a great year, and it's well deserved. She's pretty much our anchor kind of character. The movie jumps between different characters and perspectives, much like Magnolia, which Zach Cregger himself has cited as a direct influence. But we start with her as the teacher in this elementary school, the specific classroom where these 17 kids have gone missing, and we see like how it's affected her. We see like she's got like kind of demons of her own that get explored throughout the movie, and very like complicated relationships, and her character,
she drinks vodka in a big gulp.
She does, and it's very funny and very sad, but she's just so fantastic, as well as the rest of the cast. Josh Brolin gets a bit of screen time. He's got one monologue that's just really fantastic, and just his character is so at times incredibly funny while also being kind of tragic, and you feel bad for him and sometimes you hate him, and just you follow so many characters throughout this movie, and all of them have so many well-defined quirks, and they just feel so well-rounded and lived in. And the movie spends a lot of time with each and every one of them. It's an important part of the structure, allowing you to live with each of these characters that we follow and watch how the story unfolds through their eyes. And it's so engaging.
Yeah, and we mentioned Josh, but you mentioned Josh Brolin. I thought that scene, that wonder in which he's giving that monologue.
Yes.
Obviously, we'll get into spoilers later, but that scene in particular was like, that was the standout scene. Like, that's definitely like the one performance, the one moment, that one scene in which it perfectly encapsulates the feeling you get while watching the film, where it's like you're riveted, you're clinging on to every word, and you know that's a very sincere portrayal of what a father would go through in that situation. I thought that this was a beautiful film, and I felt like the way narratively the film is shot and composed is something that very few films, especially within the horror genre, are able to do. Because a lot of times, especially in the second act, that's where the film kind of dissipates. Not this film, but in general for horror films. That's usually where like it kind of dissipates for me, where you're just like, okay, this is happening, and we're just doing this for the sake of doing it. But I felt like with this film, everything was well-intentioned.
Very much so, yeah. Intention is a big word, and everything has a place in this movie. Everything that you see feels, I think, important to the overall narrative. I think if I were to tiny nitpick, because the structure, it's constantly like resetting itself. Like, it follows a character for a little bit, we kind of get to a climax of their section, and then it resets, we move on to the next character. There was a point in the middle where I'm just like, I wouldn't even say it's like a full-blown negative that ruins the experience. I was getting wary, because it was like, oh, I hope this all comes together, because you're throwing a lot at me, and you're making me wait, which is good, because this movie, I think it's putting a lot of trust in its audience to just like, we're throwing a lot at you. We're cutting off right when it gets good, but you stick with us. We're going to show you some wild stuff that wraps it all up together, and it is so worth it to get to the end. But just in the middle, I was just like, oh, I hope they pull it off. I hope they pull it off. But I think once you get to the end, they really do.
They tie loose ends at the end.
They tie it all up.
And I feel like the pacing of it was worth the 2-hour and 8-minute runtime.
Absolutely. It never... I didn't feel like... I felt that it was a 2-hour-long movie, but not in the sense of, like, we got to wrap this up, but in the sense of just, like, ooh, we've got a lot going on here. We've got a lot of meat here, and, like, characters and plots to go through that are all going to eventually converge, and it's such a great journey to take, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this movie is just, like, the experience of it is just, it feels... so fresh, so new. I really did not know at any point where the movie was going. It really lets you sit in the mystery until its conclusion, which is, I think, I was very much satisfied with.
I mean, we mentioned Julia Garner, we mentioned Josh Brolin, but I feel like Amy Madigan.
Who plays the lady,
the antagonist
yes.
in the film. I thought that was the best role.
That was such a stellar performance. Her performance, it encapsulates so much of what I love that the movie does, because it is both like quirky and over the top and silly, but can effortlessly switch to like uncanny and like uncomfortable and legitimately frightening, and that's
with a sudden snap, no pun intended.
But it rides such a fine balance of tone that I think a lot of movies, not just horror, but just in general, just like they don't know how to balance like the funny with the scary. But this movie does it so perfectly. It's never so silly that you're not taking it seriously anymore, and it's never taking itself so seriously that you're unable to laugh. It finds such a happy medium where you can experience intense fear and also just absolute slapstick at times.
While watching this film, I kind of felt like this was a more sort of streamlined Hereditary, Meaning that, like, with Ari Aster and, as we know, with Eddington, as we discussed on this channel, it's definitely a little bit more metaphorical, Hereditary, but I felt like this is a little bit more palatable for, like, a general audience. And I felt like that's perfect because I think in a lot of ways, while we do have the Bringer Backs, while we do have the Togethers, I feel like this film is worthy of the hype and is worthy of having the general audience to watch it, because I feel like this is a film that is definitely more sort of just out there.
Yeah. It takes big swings, but it doesn't do that at risk of, like, losing you completely.
Yeah, at the expense of alienating the audience.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and it's, again, such a confident second horror feature from Zach Cregger that I'm on board with whatever he chooses to do next, really.
Honestly, I think that Zach Cregger at this point in time should be grouped alongside the Jordan Peels, the Ryan Cooglers, the Ari Asters, because I feel like his vision, his ideas are something that has really never been shown on screen before in a way that it's grandiose in nature. And I think that in a lot of ways, like, Zach Cregger should be getting that blank check.
He should be.
He should be.
I would love to see what he can think of with that blank check and no restrictions.
While watching this film, and pull out your Ajay and Nathan bingo cards, because we're going to mention this guy. I really wish Shyamalan went in this direction. I really wish because
it's been so long since we've mentioned Shyamalan. That makes my heart happy.
This is a film that I wish like a filmmaker of that nature could make. Like I was thinking, like, this is the direction that I wanted Shyamalan to go to post Village. Like something that is like dark and intense and brooding, but still is palatable and still can be enjoyed for like the average moviegoer that understands horror films to this level.
Yeah, no.
And we didn't get that. And I know we're kind of like getting into uncharted territory, and we're talking about, you know, things that aren't really pertaining to this film. But I really wanted. I feel like there are so many missteps that could have happened in this film.
Yeah.
That other filmmakers could have easily went through, but Zach Cregger is able to keep a coherent vision with what's happening, and it is able to leave you enchanted with the characters and with the settings of the story.
I agree.
Let's get into the spoilers.
Let's get into spoilers, because this is a movie that I think it's best to go in blind, much like his previous movie, Barbarian. Best to go in with as little info about what's going on as humanly possible. And the movie, you know, it takes its time kind of doling out information, like Gladys. I love Gladys so
I thought she was great.
much, but like we see that character just like she shows up in like the nightmares that Josh Brolin and Julia Garner have, and those are actually like, it's easy to complain about jump scares, but those felt like weirdly effective jump scares because they really allow the tension to like actually build, like let you sit with it.
And the best part about those jump scares, especially towards the end, is that it was very minimal.
Yeah.
Which I think added more to the effect, to the desired effect that Zach Cregger wanted you to feel. Which I don't think that a lot of horror films do. I know I'm comparing and contrasting, but I mean, I do feel
no,
like...
it's fair to compare and contrast, because we have had a lot of horror movie, especially this year.
I mean, Wolfman, Julia Garner also starred in that film.
She was in that this year. I completely forgot it existed.
Yeah.
But she's had a busy year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like the parents in particular, there's that one scene where they're sitting at the dinner table and she just snaps.
Oh my god.
And like you just see them using a fork and just
fork.
Start hitting and
stabbing themselves
in the face. And you just see the remnants of the knife edges or of the forks in their face, and you're just like, oh my, like wow, we're really going for it.
It's incredibly hardcore, and that comes at a point in the movie where we switch over to the kids' perspective. Alex, the one child who was left behind in the classroom because Gladys, this witch, basically is his aunt, essentially. And has taken over his life, and that tone that the movie sets, that balance between like scary and campy and silly and funny, when we reach Alex's point in the movie and we follow from his perspective, then the movie just becomes like really sad. And like I was actually like genuinely like felt so bad for this kid whose entire life has been upheaved by this strange elderly Ronald McDonald woman who wants to like consume his parents or like the kids. You don't exactly know what she wants.
What is a metaphor of like old people living off of the vicariousness and the vitality and the youthfulness of the youth?
Yes.
What is it?
Something like that. I know at multiple points in the movie, just like they talk about like parasites, like beings that live off another living creature. And so I think that's kind of like a parallel. Maybe there's a lot you could say that this movie is about or it is referencing. When Josh Brolin sees a floating AR-15 over his house, you can draw so many conclusions about what that's about.
Yeah, 17 kids got suddenly one missing in a school, and there's an AR-15 above a home. What could that mean?
What could that be?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It doesn't take a fifth grader to solve that one. Too far. Well, let's get it back.
So bring it back. What were we talking about?
I mean, but heading back into the perspectives of it all, I felt like the gay principal. I don't
Benedict
know.
Wong.
I thought the montage of him running was amazing.
It was so well edited, those jumps where he's just like, he's really just like running across the entire town, and the way his eyes start to bug out of his head.
He looks like that King Crimson album cover in a way.
I see. Oh, I know that King Crimson. I agree, he does. But God, that was just another moment. Like when you see him at home with his husband, it's just his husband's got a tray of like 12 hot dogs and they're wearing like matching Mickey Mouse outfits, and they're watching a documentary about cordyceps and ant-brains. I'm like, what is this? What is this? What's happening? Just, I love the little thing he does when just like his husband's bringing the food tray where he's just like, like, what is that choice?
Yeah, well.
And then Gladys comes in, and my God, the way she chewed up the scenery once she was in that house, she's just like, oh, I love this home.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? Because at this point, you don't know what her deal is.
Because it definitely felt like it had like a Jim Carrey playbook type of feel to it when you see her character, where it's just like so versatile, and you're just going through like so many stages of like feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
She's just going through so many things, and then in that moment you just see the versatility of her acting really showcase and shine through that scene.
Yes, there's a very, very small moment where she invites like the detectives into her home to like check out the premises, and just like they look at the kid and she's all smiles like but then almost instantaneously looks at the kid, just dead-eyed stare at him. It's such a chilling moment and such a just great moment for her. Like, her performance is perfect. It's another one of those things where it's like, in lesser hands this wouldn't have worked, but it balances such a good just tone within the movie.
It balances levity and horror in a way that few directors are able to muster.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm really rambling at this point.
Towards the end of the third act, we see Josh Brolin's character and the kids go through different homes.
Oh my God! Let's bring it back to. So those kids, that is the hardest I've laughed in a theater in so long.
Yeah.
When those kids are chasing that old woman and they are jumping through windows and just going through the neighborhood. It's these completely flat, static comedy shots of children jumping through windows, chasing down this elderly woman, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Everyone in my theater they were dying.
Yeah. You can go on if you
No,
want.
it was really just me.
You're out of breath.
I was just gonna keep like gassing up the movie, but like take over, please.
No. I mean, when I'm watching this movie, I definitely watch this with a more educated crowd, which I love. which I love because we're
Define educated.
because the Coca-Cola scene happened in the beginning, and it was the couple drinking the Coke out of the glass, and I overheard somebody saying, "They don't serve Coke out of the glass here." And that scene happens.
Yeah.
That scene happens, and I everyone just starts dying laughing, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm with like a well-tuned crowd. I mean, it's a late night Saturday viewing. I would expect a few chuds in there, but everyone seemed genuinely invested in the film. And it was just a great experience while watching it. And I felt like in that scene in particular, because as soon as that happens, as soon as like everything resets back to normal, it's a pin drop. It's like a moment. It's like a change of feeling and emotion, and it just resets back to zero.
Yeah.
And I think that it allowed us as the audience to really sit back and think about what we just witnessed, what we just watched, and about the possibility of, they say there may be a sequel to this film.
Really?
I kind of just want it to be a standalone film, but it really gives you time to think.
It does. No, I do. I had reservations about the ending the very first time I watched it, because they tear this elderly woman to shreds and eat her body, and then the movie immediately wraps it up with the little girl's narration of just like, Alex's parents are, in a hospital somewhere, but he's with an aunt, and the kids got reunited. Some of them even started talking again this year, and then cut to black. I was like, wait, that's really it? But then on second viewing, I liked it a lot more, because it felt just like this kind of very like cold splash of water in the face, just like, no, these people are like irreparably damaged from this entire thing, and there's no catharsis exactly to really be had. They devour this witch woman, and it's amazing.
It was definitely a definitive end.
Yeah, but it just felt just like and then that was it.
Yeah, one could easily interpret it like, hey, like there may be loose ends to it, but I felt like with the way that it ended, with how it started with the narration, ends with a narration, I felt like, to me, it was a complete package.
Yeah, no, it felt like we had come full circle.
Yeah, and like in terms of like the humor elements, because there were moments of it, but
So
that was hilarious.
funny.
In which there's this one particular scene. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place, but anyways, there's that one moment where Julia Garner bangs Alden Ehrenreich's character, goes back into the liquor store, and you just see the bimbo trophy wife of Alden Ehrenreich just stalk and tailgate Julia Garner as she enters into the store and pours liquor on her. I was like, is she gonna like light this woman on fire?
That's what I thought too. No, that was another moment where it's like you just see just like a silhouette following her. You're like, oh my god, what is this? And then it's his wife in like running attire, and she's like, you fucked him, you made him drink, you fucked him. It just pours vodka. It's just like sensory over. You feel like 7 different emotions all at once, and then the scene just ends. We just cut.
Because heading into that moment of her talking for the first time to Julia Garner, you're like, oh my god, this is going to be like one of the most horrifying scenes of the movie. And then it ends with humor and levity, and you're just like, it just resets itself for the next scene. And I think that's what Zach Cregger does so well with this movie, is that he's able to like reset everything.
Yeah.
Like he allows you to say, okay, this is what happened in this perspective. Change, snap. We'll go into the next character, and we'll start back to zero, and then we'll work our way up from there.
And it never feels too jarring. It never like completely takes me out, because it cuts right before you see too much, and then we reset, and it adds just like a little bit more each and every time. Like we learn, I think, the most from when we start following what's his name, Austin Abrams,
The
character,
junkie?
the junkie. My God, that entire sequence is so fantastic. Seeing
great.
everything from his perspective and his interactions with Alden Ehrenreich, just
they've been going from
so
car to car. That they're just trying to pawn off valuables with
trying to pawn off like a child's iPad.
Yeah.
He's like 10, 20, no 10.
Because he's definitely the most sympathetic character and the most sympathetic perspective, because obviously he's down on his luck. He's in a tent Obviously, there are things that you could definitely dislike about him, like when Alden Ehrenreich's character says, "Are there any things that could stick me?" and he says no, and he eventually gets stuck by like a heroin needle.
Yeah.
That's obviously a moment in time in which you're just like, okay, well, screw this guy.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, you watch it and you see that police chase that happens, I think, during Alden Ehrenreich's POV, and you're like, oh, this is a great sort of metaphor for how I feel about watching this film. It's very upbeat, it's very suspenseful, but it gives you time to like really sit back and chill.
Yeah.
And while it is definitely like brooding and action packed, and you know you're on the edge of your seat while watching this scene, in a lot of ways you're just like, well, it's by the end of it you're just like, wow, I'm really thinking. I'm thinking.
I'm still thinking about that AR-15 floating over the house. That was just such an image. Just the imagery in the movie is just like, what?
And we didn't even get into camera techniques of this film. Like, when you look at the back of the head, there are constant shots of people with their head towards the back of the audience. There are constant scenes in which you see car doors being slammed.
Yeah.
I feel like all of that really added an element to the film that a conventional horror film probably wouldn't have done.
No, the camera, it's so fluid, its movements. That chase with Alden Ehrenreich, just the way it's like seated like in the back of the car and it's just following him through the streets as he drives erratically, just the way that shot, it's such a frenzy, but just adds so much energy. All the camera movements, like where he chooses to like lock the camera down to follow a subject, it adds so much, and it's why this movie is so good, because there's just so many little things that it does so well and they feel so fresh and unique, and they just add to this full package and experience.
And the color palettes in each scene,
it
in
looks
terms
so
of
good.
it being a little bit dim, so that it's like mysterious, and like it entices you to like really like watch with a keen eye through each scene as you're going through each perspective. I think that all of that really added a different element to this film that we probably wouldn't have been accustomed to be seeing in other films. And I feel like in a lot of ways this is Zach Cregger at his most mature. Meaning that with Barbarian, while it is a good film, it's definitely a film that we've seen before. It's definitely a film that like we've seen elements of that film before in other films, but I felt like it was a little bit more fleshed out. With this film, this was just out of left field.
Yeah.
And I think that this really endeared me to seeing more Zach Cregger films, and I can't wait to see more Zach Cregger films, because I know that whatever he's going to make, it's going to be different, it's going to be challenging, but more importantly, it's going to leave a lasting impression on you, even as you enter, even as you leave the theater.
I think I believe that his next feature that he has planned is they're trying the Resident Evil movies again. He's gonna try a Resident Evil movie.
Get that bag.
And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I love the games. The Paul, this is Paul W.S. Anderson, right? That made the Resident Evil movies.
You're more familiar with the video game movie franchises than
I am, but those are movies. But Zach Cregger, after seeing this, I'm like, this is already kind of a Resident Evil movie anyway, because there are residents and they are evil.
Yeah, and I think the best part about this is that this was a town that could be anywhere. Like, I think it's like set in Wisconsin.
Pennsylvania, I believe.
Pennsylvania, okay. Was it shot in Wisconsin?
Maybe.
Well, did they film locations in? I don't know. Anyways, I feel like this is a town that could be located in any place and fly over America, because in a lot of ways, like, these characters are all familiar to us.
Yeah, no, this is a great snapshot of just like horrors of suburbia in America in the 2020s. Just all the anxieties that come with it.
Yeah. Anyways, go watch this film. We can't stop praising and glazing
we
this
really
film.
Could keep going, but it's time to wrap up our thoughts, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Weapons. I think it lives up to the hype. I think it's a fresh, very fresh movie. Keeps you guessing, keeps you engaged. And just, I can't say much more than just see it. Go see it. Go see Weapons.
Would you say this is your favorite horror film of the year?
I honestly think so. I think it is edged out everything else we've seen so far, and I'm pretty confident saying just like, yeah, no, Weapons may be my favorite horror movie of the year.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. I think it's, for me, it's like a two-way tie between Together and Weapons.
Fair.
Which, obviously, this film is doing better than Together. Go watch Together if you haven't seen it already. Please go watch that film, because I do think that in a way, like the relationships in that film are just as good, if not on the same level of Weapons. But yeah, I would definitely say Weapons is definitely the best horror film of the year, in terms of it being this grandiose thing that we haven't seen on the big screen thus far. And I think it's worth the hype. I think people are talking about it, and I think through word of mouth, it's getting people seated to watch this movie. I haven't really seen that much promotion attached to this film.
No, not really.
So I think the fact that a film of this nature, with a cast of this nature, with a director lensing this film, that it's getting this amount of hype and this amount of unadulterated praise is a good thing. And I can't wait to see what's next for Zach Cregger. This was one of the best experiences I've watched in the theater so far this year. I watched this in the Dolby format at the AMC.
Ooh, I bet that was good.
And yeah, it was just it a lot, because obviously it's a little bit more spaced out. The seating is a little bit more spaced out.
It's a big theater.
It's a really huge, beautiful theater. But I feel like it gave me enough time to really sit with the characters, with the settings, with the environment, and it allowed me to really enjoy what was being shown on screen. Yeah. So, Weapons, definitely go watch it. Anyways, next week off.
Probably there's nothing out.
I think we deserve a week off.
We deserve it.
We deserve it.
Really
we can definitely do a blast from the past if we wanted to.
I don't really want to.
Curse of the Golden Flower. I don't know why I said that name.
What is that?
It's a pretty good movie.
Is that an Indiana Jones movie?
It's a Mandarin film.
Oh, okay.
It's filmed in Mandarin.
Cool.
Released back in like 2006. I don't know why that name came out of the blue for me, but
well, it's the first movie you thought, so I guess. Yeah, Curse of the what?
Golden Flower.
Black Pearl? What?
Curse of the Black. Yeah, we're watching a Disney IP related product. For the algorithm.
For the algorithm.
For the algo, because we all know there's a bunch of. Anyways, we're trailing off the deep end here.
We are.
But please go watch this film. It will definitely be in our top fives, and that is it. We'll see you in a week or two, probably in 2 weeks. Same bad time, same bad channel.